I'm Joe McCabe. I'm President and CEO of AutoForecast Solutions. Little background, we forecast the production of every single vehicle built worldwide through the end of the decade, every single month, powertrain detail, you name it. I've been doing this for 25 years. So we do the so what and the why behind the data. And what I love about my job is I don't have an agenda. I don't make an electric motor and I don't make an internal combustion engine. So I'm not going to try to sell you on what I think. You might see it with the slides, but we have to be agnostic. We have to tell a story that tells what our customers, mostly automotive suppliers and stakeholders in the industry, how they should be planning their business today and in the future, because at the end of the day, everyone has to make money in this job. So I'm going to throw a bunch of slides at you. I'm going to bring the empirical part of the story to it, and then we'll sit down for our discussion. But I first want to talk about the 4 hurdles of EV adoption. And I call them hurdles and are not barriers, because as hurdles, they can be scaled, right? And this is sort of in order of operation: cost, range, infrastructure, and raw materials. And there's some pros and cons bullets on each one of these. Number one, the cost gap is there. That's number one. I understand this idea of saving the universe one BEV at a time, but when there's a $15,000 and $20,000 gap between the BEV variant and its ICE brother, that's a difficult pill to swallow. This is in COVID times. Money's not 0.9% financing. We have really tough economic situations right now. And convincing a consumer to buy an electric vehicle right now with a cost differential is their biggest hurdle. However, during COVID, with the reduction of inventories, every manufacturer found a way to do build-to-sell model. You go into the dealership, you pay the sticker, or if you're convinced by the dealer to do the market adjustment on top, they made more profit per vehicle. You got to remind yourselves, the manufacturers, vehicle manufacturers, are publicly traded companies with shareholder value. They have one customer, and it's the shareholder. So at the end of the day, if it's more margin per vehicle at the end of the day, they win. So as you close the gap of the ICE variant, but still keep the other BEV variant there with some subsidies, yeah, maybe you're now $12,000 difference. Still substantial difference. And longer loan terms improved. I put that in quote because when someone goes and puts 96-month terms on there because they want to buy an electric vehicle at $500 a month, 96 months later, we're going to have another major issue. But this idea of lengthening those time frames is a problem. Range, look, no self-respecting BEV manufacturer is going to give you less than 230 miles of range. Even with their LFP batteries, up their NMC batteries, they're going to give you those chemistries even higher range, 400 miles. So the range hurdle is probably the one that's shrinking the most, which is really good. But there's still a concern for colder climates. There's still a concern for current generational buyers that say, hey, the one time a year I want to drive 500 miles gets me away from a BEV. We're targeting new consumers, not my generational consumer, for the BEVs in the mass market. Infrastructure is still an issue, and it's going to require both government and industry involvement. This is the idea of having the plugs at home, having the infrastructure on the road, taking the inconvenience away from a U.S. consumer, right? That is the biggest hurdle that's not on here. Inconveniencing an instant gratified U.S. consumer is one of the hardest parts that EV has to get across. And raw materials, this idea that we have to do everything in a clean way and still stuff get out of the ground. Those are probably, that's a tough one, right? Clean mining. But the idea is we'll just keep on pushing that needle around the country, around the world. Canada's going to be in a really good position because they have a lot of raw materials of this. This is going to be an issue. Our constant need to push China out is only going to just squeeze them right into North America anyway. So let's get into a lot of data here. North America, these are all disruptors I want to put. 10 slides of disruptions I want to talk about. In 2016, that was the biggest manufacturing of light vehicles in North America, 17.8 million units. 14 vehicle manufacturers got the job done. Fast forward to 2030, we have less volume and more than double the vehicle manufacturers in North America alone. Now, these new players aren't GM and Ford and Stellantis size, but they're disruptors because they're pulling a consumer to say, look at this new shiny object over here. John alluded to the fact of these shareholder values. These companies come out firing with no vehicles and are all of a sudden 10 times the valuation of GM on the stock market with no products to show for it. This is the new model coming out. So everyone wants to be the next Tesla. Spoiler alert, there is no next Tesla. Tesla's a unicorn. Right? But they're going to be the Apple of the world. There's going to be other people fighting for that position. So the problem here is all these new players, these 15 new vehicle manufacturers, pull away from the legacy players that have to play on volume, which then have to pass that volume down their supply base, which then that supply base has to give them better prices on volume, but they can't because there's no more volume. So we're sort of caught chasing our tail as new manufacturers come into this market. Now, North America. look, in forecasting, I hate hockey sticks, but with the problem my hockey stick gets created here in the BEV space, battery electric vehicle, FEV space, plug-in hybrids, CHEVs are standard hybrids. We do fuel cells, but the number's so small in here, well, it's not in the forecast yet. I'll get you to 40% of all vehicles built in 2030 be pure battery electric vehicles. Okay, and yes, there's a stick there, but I agree 100% with John here. The next few years are going to be a trough area, our steady state area. There's going to be that hockey stick later, but I'm going to show you a slide on why our hockey stick exists. On the right-hand side, 35 million vehicles on the road in total that'll need a plug. And we know we have an infrastructure problem right today. Now we're going to quadruple these numbers that need infrastructure in 7 short years. And those that are embedded in the automotive space, 7 years is tomorrow in the automotive space because it's 2 life cycles away kind of thing. So we're not building iPhones so we can change a color once a year. We're planning on vehicles today that won't be built for 3 years, and that vehicle's going to be around for 5 years. So we're making plans for building vehicles today that will be here 8 years from today in this climate where we're having a lot of issues between electrification and non-electrification. North America, there's going to be 140 unique nameplates in North America in 2030 that are pure battery electric, all fighting for the same consumer. This is an unsustainable number. And this is our problem in forecasting. The yellow are all the new entrants every year. And in forecasting, we can't just make a judgment call, hey, we don't like what that BEV looks like, we're going to take it out. We have to give it volume in our forecast because our suppliers are bidding against it. Now, will we give them the 150,000 units each? No. But we got to give them some justification of building a volume at some sort of utilization of capacity that they're going to make money at. And when you put 10 and 20 and 50 of these manufacturers together, the market looks obscenely large. So at the end of the day, there's going to be some winners and there's going to be a lot of losers in these categories, and we have to stay on top of it. 48 different brands are going to be building these vehicles. 2019, there were 3 brands and 2 vehicles doing this whole thing. Okay, global BEVs. Tesla only has 5 nameplates right now. In 2030, they're going to have 8. If you look at all the BEVs also in the world, 752 other nameplates will be battery electric vehicles. The green is the number of battery electric vehicles per year that Tesla makes per nameplate. Profitability, north of 300,000 units. If you take all the rest, and yes, there's noise in there, some higher and lower, and you take all the other 752, it's an average less than 50,000 units a year of production. That's an unsustainable number in the automotive space. You cannot make money in that space in the long term. So there's going to be a lot of losers here. Way too much competition is going to change the mix. We got to find it and stay on top of it. BEV sales. Yes, we're doing our victory lap. We hit 1 million sales this month. You know, there's 340 million people in the United States. There's 240 million that have driver's license. So our victory lap this month was we sold to 0.4% of the U.S. population bought BEVs. Hey, bravo, that's great. So any other industry, no one would really care about that number. The good news is I'm not anti-EV, we're pro-reality. We are on a momentum curve. We are moving forward. It's just going to be really, really long to get there, and we got to weather the storm to get there. Now, to get there, though, we need a healthy balance of entry level and luxuries. We cannot satisfy it with $113,000 crab walking vehicles or $130,000 Teslas. We're going to have $35,000 cars, $40,000, even $50,000. And people say, where's my $35,000 car? Where is it? I said, it's a Chevy Bolt. It's been here for a decade. Why aren't you buying the Chevy Bolt? Why aren't you buying the Nissan Leaf? And they go, no, wait a second, I want a $35,000 Tesla fighter. Different conversation altogether. Now, if you look on the right-hand side in terms of sales, Tesla's in yellow. So if we take Tesla noise out of it, of 600,000 units of sales, the next brand in line is the Bolt. 67,000 units. And the next one down there is the Mach-E, 40,000 units, right? Huge, huge gaps between the Tesla model and the non-Tesla model. Mexico, the Chinese are coming. It doesn't matter what we do to try to push them off, the Chinese are coming. And what we're going to say is right now that there are over 9% of all vehicles sold in Mexico are Chinese branded vehicles right now. Look at that hockey stick, right? That's not going to stop. That's a great market of entry. When the Chinese come, they're going to come through 3 areas. It's going to be Mexico, or the country of California, or China, or Canada, right? So that's where the decision making is going to be coming from in terms of how they're going to let the Chinese into the market, right? So BAIC, Chery, JAC, MG, all brands that are being consumed there right now. Okay, BEV leaderboard. I'll argue the fact that Tesla's not the winner in global by 2030. I got Volkswagen and Stellantis beating them. I don't care that Elon wants to put 20 million vehicles. You have to have the plant to build the 20 million vehicles, right? These Volkswagen and Stellantis have a strategy. They have the infrastructure, right? They can get the job done. It's a $6 million man here. They have the ability to get this done, and they have a plan to get there. So I will argue that Tesla will not be the leader. They don't have to be the leader. They were great. They set the mark, right? But they got us where we need to be. But they don't have to be the leader going forward into the future. And I'll go one step further to new energy vehicles. New energy vehicle is a BEV or a plug-in hybrid. Nothing lower than that, right? BYD beats everyone, right? Chinese brand. They are coming. Doesn't matter what you think. Chinese are, they're coming. It's not if, and it's when. So we wanted to sort of just bring a little empirical conversation to what we're going to talk about today. And we'll go from there. So I'm excited to talk to John about this. Thank you.